How did you get into teaching?
I got into teaching basically because I have been inspired by some of my own mentors.
Okay.
And it's kind of something I believe in, the passing the torch forward, kind of passing the knowledge forward. I've been very fortunate to have a lot of really good mentors throughout my life, and some of them in school, some of them outside of school, and kind of guiding me along with art. So.
Yeah. When do you think your interest in art began?
My interest in art?
Yeah.
I've always been drawing since can remember.
Uh-huh.
For a very long time I've been drawing. As far as art, as far as I can remember. Painting, I got into painting about 10, 11 years ago, right about the time I moved up here
Okay.
to Door County. So.
What brought you to Door County?
A number of things. I knew the art community was strong here.
And then you came up here not teaching originally, right?
No,
originally
I was not teaching when I first came up here. I did a number of things. I of course always maintained my artwork and kept my professional art career, as well as I was actually a picture framer at the Artist Guild on 3rd Avenue for a while.
Oh yeah.
So, and then I got the teaching license about 5 years ago and started teaching at Southern Door 4 years ago. So.
Okay, and you teach middle school?
I teach middle school at Southern Door as well as 5th grade.
Okay.
So I have one elementary level, which would be the 5th grade.
Sure. Do you do like general art with them, or do you have like specific courses? Like you take ceramics?
That's a good question. With 5th grade and 6th grade, it's general art.
Okay.
And we cover a number of things, including, ceramics, sculpture, drawing and painting. And then when they reach 7th and 8th grade, they get to choose their elective. They get to choose their course. So we have ceramics, sculpture, drawing and painting, and introduction to art, which is kind of the preliminary to drawing and painting, and then fibers, which is dealing with the threads and fabrics. So they get to choose one of those 5, and actually as of last year I had a part in adding a new sculpture course, so that sculpture course is fairly new.
Okay.
But the other courses have been there since I've been there. So.
Wow. Did you excel at those disciplines your whole life? Like, when you had to go to teaching school, did they teach you, because some artists, it's like, I'm good at drawing and painting, I'm good at pottery and ceramics. But when you're an art teacher, it's like, you kind of have to get good at everything, right?
Yeah, and you kind of have to have a general knowledge in everything. I wouldn't, I mean, my forte is actually drawing and painting. So that's my real strength, is drawing and painting, because that's what I do for my personal work.
Yeah.
But you have to have a pretty good knowledge in the other areas, and I mean, I can hold my own at ceramics, of course, and sculpture class is a lot of fun, because I kind of, I've actually been learning a lot as I've been going along too.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of fun doing that, teaching the kids sculpture, and it kind of plays off of what I do too with my personal work. So.
Okay. So do you learn from the students as well, would you say, with your own art?
I definitely learn from the students as well as them learning from me. So we both learn from each other, and I would say that a good example is actually with tessellations, which is basically a repeated shape that has no overlap or spaces. And the 6th graders do that, and it kind of gave me an idea for, you'd have a better understanding, I guess, if you saw the picture. It's kind of like M.C. Escher, if you're familiar with M.C. Escher, the artist.
Maybe if I saw his work, I would know.
Well, to make a long story short, I found that some of the things that they were doing kind of could play into what I was doing, and I I started cutting up they could collage things onto that, kind of the
Yeah.
pieces together. Not only I mean, they could draw them, but they could also cut the pieces out, triangles, square, basically they'd be like triangles or squares or different shapes that are all the same,
Yeah.
and then repeated.
Okay.
And I started cutting up my canvases, cutting up my artwork, my personal artwork.
Yeah.
Though obviously it was, some of the stuff that I cut up was not necessarily stuff that I appreciated.
Sure.
It was some of the stuff that I wanted to cut up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so that became a new work of art from
Yeah.
cutting up my old art, and I started adding those pieces to, I think you've seen the quilts. I started quilting them together.
Yeah. Okay.
So that kind of played off of what they were doing in 6th grade
Uh-huh.
a little bit, and I
Yeah.
showed them the end result of what I was doing, and they were pretty impressed by that, and I had fun seeing my own work as well when I brought that into class, so.
Wow. Do you see the kids being nervous about art or self-conscious about art at all, or are they pretty willing to just get on in there?
You mean like starting a new piece, or?
Yeah, like how, I feel like some kids, I think like when I was growing up, like in high school, I got a little self-conscious
Yeah, I think,
about art, and it's, you know, you get nervous, like, am I gonna do it right, am I bad at it?
everyone's got their hesitations, I think, when they're first starting out with a blank slate, with a blank sheet of paper, or a blank canvas. Including myself, but I tell them just go ahead and make a mark and go with it, and that's what I do for my personal work as well, is that if I just make a mark and start in with a design or some kind of splash of paint, it frees me up to do what I want to do, and that's why I encourage them to just kind of go ahead and make a mark and see where it goes.
Oh, I like that.
So.
How do you decide what you're going to do? Because I was looking at your artwork today, and you've got quite a range of subjects, and, you know, you do drawing, painting, plein air. How do you decide?
As far as subject matter?
Yeah, like when you start with a blank canvas.
With the quilts, when the newer work are quilted, they're quilted pieces.
Uh-huh.
So they're cut up pieces of my artwork that have been quilted and sewn together. Those pieces are pretty well planned out
Okay.
as far as placement of values and colors, and where the pieces are gonna go, the triangles are gonna go. So I draw out the design first, and then my fiance helps me put them together, because we do the sewing part together, so
Okay.
she's a part of that too.
Yeah.
But the paintings themselves and the drawings themselves, those I don't necessarily always plan it out with a sketch for my personal work.
Okay.
And that's where it goes in with making a mark on the page, and sometimes it changes 10 or 12 times before I finish the piece.
Yeah.
And sometimes the painting is a painting on top of a painting.
Mhm.
So I start out maybe with something like a picture of a lot of my subject matters are animals.
Mhm.
So I'll start out with maybe a painting of a hippopotamus or something like that, and then pretty soon after I evolve with my own artwork, and I go maybe decide to paint over it.
Mhm.
So once I paint over it, it changes into something else, but then the hippopotamus or whatever was underneath there, underneath the last painting that I do, some of the parts from the previous painting show through, so that it becomes part of a new piece.
Oh, cool.
And that's kind of how the quilts go too,
Yeah.
even though they're more planned out.
Mhm.
There's bits and pieces of other paintings that show through to make a new piece.
Oh, wow, I like that.
So I think I try and do that with the students too, is that I try and say that, you know, some of them do worry about being so precise and realistic and getting things accurate right from the get-go. I think I think I do try to encourage them to work with their mistakes and make something out of it, because a lot of times a happy accident is really a positive thing.
Uh-huh. So tell me more, are you still working in that abstract representationalism?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess I have a show coming, if you don't mind me mentioning
plug
the show.
away, yeah.
I have a show that's, the opening is gonna be at the Meadows Art Gallery up in Sister Bay, on February 7th, this is Saturday, from 2 to 4. So, yeah, Saturday from 2 to 4, and, I have, some of the abstract representationalist work up there, and representationalism isn't really a word, I kind of made that up. So I guess you can either call it abstract representationalism or abstract realism, meaning like I've got like a picture, to break it down, maybe a picture of a hippo, going back to the hippo, maybe a picture of a hippo. There is a picture of a hippo on the show, so, so I keep going back to that. A picture of a hippo, so it's somewhat realistic, but it's got elements of abstraction or blocks of color that are kind of vivid and abstracted.
Yeah, I noticed that with a lot of your work, there are some bright, beautiful, crazy colors.
Yeah, and working with middle school, it's like they love working with neons and silvers and metal metallics, so I'm the same way.
Yeah, oh, that's
perfect. Middle schooler at heart.
Where do you find the time to make your own artwork?
It's very difficult to find time to do my own art, but oftentimes, like, actually, in the show that I have February 7th, one of the pieces is actually a piece that I did with, not with with the kids. They had no part in the actual production of the piece, but it was a piece that I did in front of them, so they could see how to do several techniques.
Oh, wow. So, that's cool. Is there anyone else showing at the Meadows show?
Yeah, I'm not the only one showing. Actually, an artist by the name of Samantha Vanderhoof, who actually is also my partner in crime, that has helped me with the quilts. She's my fiance, and she's kind of the show is basically old to new, or new to old.
Okay.
Okay, so we have her as being one of the newer artists in the community, and then there's me, who's kind of middle of the road, and then Tom Seagard, an artist up in Sister Bay. I don't want to say he's the more, I don't want to say old, but
advanced in years,
he's a little bit beyond 27 years of age, so yeah.
And it's at the Meadows in Sister Bay, right?
The Meadows in Sister Bay. Okay. And then, if you don't mind, I can mention a few other things that are happening in the community. Then April 1st is going to be a little bit outside of Door County, but I do have a show at Silver Lake College, which is where I got my license.
Oh, great.
They're going to have me do a solo show April 1st at Silver Lake College. And as far as I know, there's no opening for that as of now. And then the Southern Door Fine Arts Fest, and this is with the students' work, comes up. That's April 9th.